Southampton 3, Birmingham City 1. That was a fun afternoon, wasn't it? Oh! Kyogo, mate! The goal's over there! My name's Simon Brew, and this is Thoughts on the Blues. Hello, and a very warm, not particularly happy welcome to the latest Thoughts on the Blues. This morning, folks, I decided it's going to be a terrific day of sport. So I was going to start by, I'm going to watch the Ashes. I'm going to listen to the Ashes. I can't afford to watch the Ashes. I'm going to listen to the Ashes. That went well. Then it's the Blues. It's the Blues. That went well. Look, I didn't bother buying a lottery ticket. Let's put it that way. Shall we do some positives? It's always easy after like a Blues defeat to go on the message boards I've not been on and be that doom and gloom person. And, just look at the things that went right today. Demarai Gray was brilliant again. Could have walked into the Southampton team. Could walk into any team in the Championship. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Jack Robinson came on and didn't get sent off. He managed to not put in a foul tackle or do anything. I mean, he didn't do much, but let's building blocks. Scaffolding. That's the cliche, isn't it? He's scaffolding. And didn't get sent off. And also, Sheffield United might be interested in having him back. Oh, yeah. Then, well, at least we don't have to play him again for 3 weeks. Right, so we come into this particular game at some... I think most of us thought it would be a little bit tricky. It seems to be traditional that we come up against teams that are going through some degree of manager issues or something like that. And so, as it was again, Southampton, who had a miserable start to the season, a really miserable start to the season. In comes their new guy, what's he called? Tom de Eckert. And 4 games in charge in a caretaker capacity. Now he's got the job. So, proper new manager bounce this time. And, new manager bounce. Adam Armstrong lining up in the opposition team. That always goes well for the Blues as well. What could possibly go wrong? And then it's one of those, you listen to the build-up of the game and all the jolly stuff comes out again, doesn't it? It's just like the joint lowest goals away from home. That's Birmingham City. 8 out of our 9 away games, we've fallen behind. And, it finds us in an away game at an interesting time for Blues because the home form suddenly is electric. We look like we're going to score goals. We're firing on all cylinders at home. I still think Monday's home win at Watford was as good a win as we've had all season just because of the different ways that tested us. Away at Southampton, so Chris Davies puts out a team that most of us could have guessed a mile off. Brightside Samuel was struggling after an hour at home to Watford, and so put Iwata back in at right back. So, you remember that season where we suddenly, out of the blue, you will remember it because it doesn't happen, where we did really well in the Premier League and Alex McLeish could name an unchanged team. Was it for 10, 11 matches on the bounce? And the starting 11 was absolutely the same. And we've got that level of consistency in the team that Chris Davies is picking for Blues at the moment, which means we as fans know what we're going to get, which means Southampton knew what they were going to get. And so, discussed in previous videos about teams that tend to attack our right backs, they just seem that seems to have been identified as a weakness in our game. That if you're going to go for us, that's the place to get us. Southampton, as it happened, had a whole other box of tricks. Worth recognising again, yes, Southampton fans, Premier League team last season, not a very good Premier League team, but with the resources and etc. and half empty ground of a failed Premier team, but still did a number on us. Any Southampton fans along for the gloat watch? Hello, bye-bye, not talking to you. So, I was not pessimistic going into the game. I thought we were going to have a bit of a battle on to get a point, but I've seen plenty of evidence that this Blues team now has turned some degree of corner and could get a point. I still think that we could have got a point. But, yes, as the scoreboard would note, we didn't. In fact, by the end, we didn't. And, we shot out the traps as this game started. And I confess straight up, I missed about 5-10 minutes due to circumstances out of my control. So I am going to assume that 5-10 minutes we played like Brazil, that we were absolutely amazing. So you can fill in your own gaps there, but there was, straight from the off, I thought we were looking more like a home team at first than an away team, that we were playing that high press. Southampton were playing around at the back, and we were pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. I just thought, okay, this is good. There was the point where Tommy Doyle gives away a free kick inside, 150 seconds, when he had the temerity to fart next to a Southampton player who duly fell to the floor with a pirouette and with grace and rolling around and blah, blah, blah. But, in the first 5 minutes, I thought, here's two teams who really want the football. It's been pointed out in the preamble to this game that Southampton are a very possession-based team. We're a very possession-based team, even though we've tweaked our system in recent weeks. And so, this was going to be a really good, really interesting game of football. And then the problem hit. The problem hit that within, 6 minutes, was it? They just waltzed through us. Now, there have been warning signs here. I come back to that game at home to Norwich that we comfortably won 4-1. Comfortable, apart from the bits where 4 or 5 times the opposition could maraud through the middle of the park. Now, one of my observations of Southampton was not only did they have a really powerful front three who absolutely looked the business, they looked like they could compete in the bottom half of the Premier League, but also we sort of kind of played into them a little bit. They had runners coming at us, and the goal on 6 minutes that didn't change the game really, certainly not as much as it was, came from Azaz, and he gets to a point where he's had the football for a period of time and he puts in a shot, and it looked to my eyes that when he took the shot, at least 3 of our defenders could have reached out their arms, assuming they had relatively long arms, and touched him at the point that he was able to get a shot away. And it just didn't look like we closed him down. And one of the consistent themes throughout the first hour of the game for me, and there was a little bit of this against Albion as well, is when teams are running at us, we're not as good as when they're passing around us. And Southampton dribbled more. I haven't seen the stat for this, but dribbled more at us than any other team this season, I think. And they looked comfortable with the ball, confident in the ball. They were going forward. So, to be fair, you're at home. You've signed your new manager who's winning all the games, apart from the last one, wasn't it, against Millwall. And then you one up and look fairly comfortable like 6 minutes in. So the shot was a good shot. No, I don't think there's much quarrel with Beadle on that. It would have beaten most goalkeepers. And there we were again. 9 out of 10 games now away from home, we've conceded the first goal. And you look at the games that we've won. We've won 2 games away from home. And you look at how we had to play. The Blackburn game was, rescued at the end. The Preston one, we had to approach in a completely different way. And we got the shot out, and it was the Neumann goal, and then we just held on to it. Us playing almost a bit as a home team away from home was really good to watch. But we were 1-0 down in 6 minutes. Then, in fairness to the Blues, we came straight back at them. That, again, this isn't the Bristol City game. In terms of a yardstick for a really crappy away defeat, Bristol City is my North Star. I look up when I want to cry and I see a picture of that Bristol City game. And so it was different. We came at them and, we had a shot. We had a decent header a couple of minutes later, ball swinging. Demarai Gray, who I thought was terrific today, really terrific. His header comfortably into the keeper's arms. But at least it's sort of like one of those boxing matches where each side's just at least attempting to land a punch on each other. And if I was a neutral, and I'm not, it would have been a good, entertaining game of football to watch. What became apparent, though, is Southampton had this switch, which was, let's try and kill them off early. That after Gray had that header, they came at us, and they were breaking fast. They looked dangerous. If I could afford props for these videos, if I wasn't on such a tight budget, what I would do is I'd have an amazing graphic of a chunk of butter and a knife going through it to represent what was happening with our defence when they were running at us. Not when they were passing around us, but when they were running at us. And we just looked vulnerable, really. And I mean, you throw a cross in at Nyman and Clara, utterly comfortable. You attack our fullbacks. Certainly, if you tackle Watter, are they going to tackle you and win the ball? I don't think they were, and certainly weren't by the end. In fact, the person I think on our team who's most likely to peg it back and try and win the ball back, Stansfield and Doyle, would you say? I think so. We then settle. I think the first 15 minutes, you're just like, blimey, that was an opening 15 minutes, wasn't it? The game then settles down a little bit. And I mean, Beadle's foot. There was a moment where Peck, not his best game, not an awful game, not his best game, was fairly easily dispossessed. Suddenly, Southampton 4-on-4, zipping forward, forcing a save out of Beadle. And I thought for the first 15 minutes, this really was an audit of James Beadle as a goalkeeper, because it was a set of opposition fans shouting shoot at a player who then doesn't shoot. It was crosses coming in, low balls coming in, shots coming in. And could he dominate his penalty area? Did he have that authority? I thought he was doing, I've made a note, I thought he's doing really pretty well. However, then 18 minutes in, this scoreline could have been worse by half-time. We've said that before. We said that away at Albion. Could have been 2-3 down by the time we come back into the game. And that was the moment where, Southampton attacking us, Beadle makes the save. And did he have a save? I've not seen the replay. What I remember is the ball comes out. Is it Fellows, who has basically an open goal, smacks the crossbar really hard where it looks easier to score. I thought, yeah, that's going to be the turning point. They've had their chance to kill the game off inside the first 20 minutes. Yeah, that's it. Brilliant. Right. 24 minutes. They were doing FIFA tactics on us, I thought. Going back to that Fellows chance. I played. Any of you play FIFA? It's not called that anymore, is it? FC, whatever. But I played FIFA online once, which is a really deadly thing to do, because you're playing some oiky 9-year-old with God, no GCSEs and blah, blah, blah. And all they do is they just sit on FIFA and just go, got your granddad and stuff like that. And their relentless tactic was get to the byline, do a low cutback cross. And I thought, this fella Southampton have got in, he's doing FIFA tactics here. Get to the byline, cut it back. It started to feel easy, actually, was the problem. And then, as Southampton kept coming at us, kept really just testing this back line, then Adam Armstrong has his moment. A minute before Armstrong has his shot, Kyogo is warming up. And I got the sense on the touchline, that's angry Chris Davis. Chris Davis couldn't have been happy with how this was going and how we never really exerted control over the game for... it took a long time, and by that point, they were away, weren't they? I don't think we were totally out of the game, but we'd given ourselves one of those metaphorical mountains. And then Armstrong has this... At a period of the game where we just didn't seem to have much glue at the top, where the ball was going forward, but it was coming back at double quick time. Again, this happened on Monday at home to Watford, and we ended up putting Dykes on to solve the problem. Here, Armstrong, 23 minutes, whacks a shot at the corner. I looked at it, and I have seen this again briefly. I looked at it, I was just like, oh, Beadle, you're not going to be happy with that, are you? It looked like he had it. And it's the first time, really, I've looked at that and thought, yeah, Beadle, that you actually should have kept that goal out. And I think his standards are high. It's England under-21 international. He'll know this as well. He doesn't need me to say it. But, I've got to fill minutes on this somehow. So, yeah, Beadle, that looked like you should have kept it out. I ain't a goalkeeper. I can't do what you do. But, yeah... And it struck me that we were having a point here where this is sort of what we did to Millwall. This is sort of what we did to Norwich. That certainly the Millwall game was interesting. I keep coming back to that, where for the first 20-25 minutes, it was going backwards and forwards, and we killed the game with goals. And after that, Millwall folded. Yeah, we didn't fold. I think that's important. But it was Southampton playing that kind of ruthless home performance that we've been enjoying at St Andrews at Knighthead Park for much of the last few weeks. So here's a team doing the same number on us that we do to others. What are we going to do about it? Well, we came back into it, really. And I mean, you come towards the back end of the second half. Usually, when we appear to be at our weakest, Gray gets a free kick. Nyman has an effort from a corner, and we're attacking Southampton. We're causing problems. We're asking questions, but the ruthlessness in the box that we'd had just didn't seem to be there this time. So, half-time, we go in 2-0 down, and I couldn't really quarrel with it. I thought Southampton looked quality. I didn't think we were terrible. I don't think it was a case of we'd lost it per se. I just thought they were beating us. They were just the better team. It's not that the Blues engine wasn't motoring. It's just like we were down at 6 and 7 out of 10 level rather than up there. And you go down, you go down the team sheet at that point. Who's putting in a really bad performance? Well, not many. It's quite hard to isolate someone and just say, yeah. But the problem was they were up against players who were winning the battles against them, particularly when Southampton were running at us. They just look really, really, really good. And playing them again in a few weeks. Great. Looking forward to that. It was a surprise to me. I mean, let's have a substitutions chat. We don't have substitutions chats very often, so let's have a substitutions chat. There was an argument at home to Watford that Chris Davies, usually very proactive with his substitutions, he reaches for his substitute board like Aita Karanka reached for defensive tactics. And he's usually pretty quick off the mark. I was surprised he didn't change anything, but then I also accept he had pretty much his strongest team out that he had available to him, and relatively fresh, only played on, Monday? 5 days. That should be enough. But still, against Watford, had he brought Samsted on a bit earlier, would it have solved the gap at right back? I mean, had he put a great big brick wall in the middle of the pitch, the middle of our defence at half time, would it have solved the problem? I don't know. Possibly not. But, I mean, the second half starts, and it's still that thing. It's still two relatively, I won't say equal weight, because I think Southampton just there, we're about there. I think it's relatively close gap, though. And duking it out. Both teams had good efforts right at the start of the second half. And then Blues did that hope. They did the hope thing. The ball comes to Demarai Gray again. And Southampton, as much as they might have swatted up on our last few games, they clearly didn't see what happened at home to Watford on Monday night. Gray's cut in and shot. Beautiful. How many assists and goals? Is it 7 or 8 goals he's contributed to or scored throughout the season? He's having a terrific season. I thought this was not as good a game for Patrick Roberts, but I ain't dunking on Patrick Roberts. I think he's been great since he started playing for us. He's still in the 6, 7 out of 10 territory, even when he's on an off day. But you look at how scared Southampton were of Demarai Gray, and how many times did he just glide past them or get a ball past them? How many times did they get the ball off him? It just wasn't that often at all. And Gray was by distance our most potent threat. He caused them all sorts of problems. So then we get, 2-1 then at 54 minutes. I'm sat there. It's just like, there's a draw in this. Surely there's a draw in this. Then it's worth noting a forced substitution came in. But even by that point, we'd gone 3-1 down. And I was watching the cricket this morning. Well, listening to it, as pointed out, can't afford to watch it. It's on TNT. It's the bloody Ashes. It's just like, I can't afford a small mortgage to watch England lose a cricket match. So, the Ashes, it's just like all England have to do with a cricket bat, easy to say, is just dig in for a little period of the game and then go on the attack. Blues, at the point we went, easy in hindsight. I'm not a football manager, I keep saying this. Easy in hindsight. 2-1 up. Southampton are. We've got a foothold back in the game. We've worked our way back in, and we just have to dig in and then start to apply the pressure, and it's when we concede the goal. And yeah, it was another case of, it was just a little bit too easy. It wasn't like a cash-in, just like gifting them a pass or anything like that. And, they still had to do a bit of work to get their goal. But that's the killer goal of the afternoon. A rebound goes to Adam Armstrong, who once again enjoys his match against. But he can't wait to see us again in a few weeks. I can wait to see him. There it is, 3-1 up. He's just like, oh, and then just to cheer us up, off goes Cochrane with an injury On comes Jack Robinson. First time we've seen him since his second yellow card in a blue shirt, at least on the pitch while the game has been going on. This is also the part where Dux comes off and Kyogo comes on for the back half hour. Not when we're 2-3-0 up, but a half hour of our season that really matters, where really got to deliver and make this work. Dux didn't have much impact on the game. I think that's, I mean, the more I watch him, I think that's kind of like the gig a little bit, that he's impacting 2 of every 3 games, depending the opposition we're playing on. They had physical centre-backs. They were good at containing him. He didn't look a danger. Let's call it as it is, really. Kyogo, much more mobile, much more zippy, and really kind of working very hard. However, let's just quickly talk about one of the things that was notable, actually, when Adam Armstrong got his 3rd goal. It's just like there was a moment just before, got their 3rd goal. There's a moment just before where it looked like he was injured. It's like, yeah, he's injured. Shit, he scored. That injury lasted, didn't it? And so, yeah, James Beadle, I do want to stop and acknowledge that the saves that he was making in this game were terrific. I mean, as a shot stopper, this was as good as he's been for Blues. I think he stopped doing that wandering out the box and managing to completely miss a tackle and getting booked and nearly conceding a goal thing. That's been an improvement. He'll be disappointed with the second goal. Call it again. I mean, we could have been a lot worse off had he not put in a couple of terrific saves. And you know, he would. I think he comes out of this game with credit in the bank. Really, which after the second goal, I wouldn't necessarily have thought that was going to be the case. So, I mean, 25 minutes to go. I just wrote down, I can't work out if this is a bit crappy or a bit scrappy, but it's not quite working yet. But then we really came into it. And it reminded me of, do you remember like Arsene Wenger's European adventures when he was Arsenal manager towards the end of his tenure? And they'd always like get hammered in like the first leg and then put in a really raging like last 20, 30 minutes or second leg or something and get really close to getting over the line, but fail valiantly. Just a little bit of an element of that for me in the way that this game panned out. We caused them lots of problems in the last 20-25 minutes. They came at us as well, and again, credit to them for that. But I mean, we come to, let's call it the moment. So was it about 73 minutes in, the ball comes back off the bar, there's Kyogo 6 yards out. So, a bit of preamble here. I like Kyogo. I think he's a terrific footballer. He is a far better footballer than I will ever be. I love the Blues fans' support for Kyogo, and I think I remain of the belief that once he gets that goal, he will go. I also now remain of the belief that he's feeling like the luxury we can't afford. And in a little bit of me is trying to tempt fate and just hope it turns in the next game. Because when he's on the pitch playing for us, he has my 100% support. I don't boo, I don't cheer, I never have. Cheer the team, you know. I mean, it has struggled to hear, being as I was in Birmingham and he was in Southampton at the time. But I cheer. It's really important to me. You've got to give these players everything. You know, all that cliche, be the 12th man. Again, my gob's not quite that big. It didn't quite reach. But I want him to do well in a blue shirt. Right. So his substitution this time mattered, and I feel really bad saying this, but you know, he's an expensive footballer, 6 yards out with an open goal in front of him, and he gets the ball goes in the goal. We are 3-2 with about 15-20 minutes to go. I think we're nicking a point. Southampton fans will disagree and will suggest, and not unreasonably, that they will keep coming at us. I think we get a point. I listened to commentary of this moment, and I listened to an assortment of different reasons why Kyogo put that ball over the bar. The ball came to him. It was a little bit on the rise. You know, it's a bit more difficult than it looked. It's easy for us up here to judge, you know, when he's on the pitch in the middle of it. Maybe he can't shoot for shit. I hate saying that. I really do. I mean, his history suggests he can, and he's a great goal scorer. But this isn't a one-off now, is it? You know, this isn't Dux at home to Watford rolling the ball wide after scoring 3 in 2. This is expected. And there was a moment towards the end of the game, actually, where Iwata had a shot, a fairly poor shot that went wide of the goal from inside the box. And I looked at it, I just thought, you should pass that over to Kyogo. I was just like, same thing would have happened, really, wouldn't it? Maybe his teammates are starting to think this isn't going to happen. If he starts away at QPR, who've just beaten Albion as well, if he starts away at QPR, I will hope with everything. Kyogo, on the off chance you're watching this, I'm a fan. I want you to succeed. You're 6 yards out, mate. 6 yards out with an open goal. And, something has to give. And he's become, instead of, I can't wait to watch him play, it's just like, bring him on when we're 2-0 up and let's hope that breaks it. I don't think we can afford to bring him on at a crucial part of a game anymore. And Davis is the manager. He's a better manager than me. I'd have brought Lyndon Dykes on. I think Dykes will make the ball stickier, metaphorically, and will hold it up better and might get a goal. I've got more confidence that he'll do that. I hope now Kyogo proves me wrong with a hat-trick at QPR. That would be... No one would cheer louder than... Well, actually, the gobshite who sits like a few blocks to the side from me probably would cheer louder. But the point I'm trying to make is I would be very, very on his side. And how long have I spent now trying to justify... I'm as bad as the commentators, trying to justify a bloke missing from 6 yards out at a pivotal part of the game. Yeah, after that, we still kept going at them, but you're just at the point... Kyogo then has that effort that deflects, and, a really good hit, and on another day would have gone... How many times are we saying this? Comes to the point where the only chance of him getting a strike in Birmingham is if he goes to be a binman at this minute. It's not working. And on the day, you had Southampton who nullified Roberts a little bit. Anderson came in, was causing bits of trouble, but I think Anderson needs a full game, really, to get the best out of him. He's not bad at the cameo. He's better if you give him a bit of a run. But do you drop Roberts or Gray? They've just been so much stronger. In fact, the best right winger we had in the game, for my money, was Phil Nyman towards the back end. He was getting into loads of space on the right and firing the ball over. There are positives to take. I hate 3-1 defeats. I hate having to sit here and just like, oh yeah, well done opposition. And I hate the credible defeat. That one really boils my piss, because a credible defeat is a defeat that didn't have to be a defeat. We could have got something out of it. But there were turning points throughout this game. The third goal was one. The Kyogo miss was... Southampton's third goal was one. The Kyogo miss was clearly the other for me. We looked fitter than them. We looked urgent. We kept fighting. Gray pulled another save out their keeper with a few minutes left. And, we... Also, right, I didn't mention this in the Watford thing. What's going on with this 10-second rule for goal kicks? Because at home to Watford, we got a corner when the Watford keeper was fannying around. The Southampton guy, I think I counted 18 seconds to take a goal kick. Isn't that supposed to be a corner? I think it's a great rule. I just see nobody enforcing it at all. And again, Beadle was lucky against Watford not to have a corner given against him. So I see both sides of it. But enforce that rule. It's a good rule. Let's stop farting around when all you've got to do is... Anyway, then, our game management... My conclusion wasn't brilliant. Theirs was pretty good. It was an open game throughout, that we had more possession in, and you go down the stats of the game at the end, and we had 22 shots, 4 on target, 22 shots. We had more touches in the opposition box. We had 60% possession. They had 19. My point, we had more corners. My point is, all the ingredients were there for us to get something from this. It is the game where we gave that goal away, and we just lacked the ruthlessness that we've had. And I just think... I wouldn't even say it's fine margins with it. I think it's margins on a game like this. I think it could have turned. I think it could have gone the other way. By the time we're bringing Kumas on at the end, I thought he looked easily bundled off again. I thought Southampton had a player. I didn't catch who he was. Lucky to stay on the pitch for a really horrible tackle on Tommy Doyle towards the end of the game. But this is just like the whining fan, isn't it, after a 3-1 win? I'm not a Southampton fan, but if I was them, I'd just be in the pub ignoring all of this and putting me on block. For us, for Blues, I mean, we're in a point where we've got these really difficult away games. QPR have just beaten Albion. Sheffield United coming up. We're playing them at the right time, aren't they? They're absolutely soaring. And I don't know. We're just an easy. We're an easy win. I'm not even sure we're an easy win away from home, but we're very gettable. It's a very gettable 3 points for opposition, whereas teams that come to St Andrews at Knighthead Park don't feel it's a gettable 3 points. And I don't know why. You know, the first 5 minutes of this game, I thought we were really going for it as if we were the home team. And then they get that sucker punch of a goal. And, I mean, the control of the game just zips backwards and forwards and blah, blah, blah after that point. And, I mean, here we are. At the end of it, here we are. Robinson didn't get sent off. Let's reiterate that again. And he's got a long throw. And so, you know, he might play a few times over Christmas. Who knows? We also, right, we have 3 and a bit weeks to get ourselves together to play this lot again. And might I suggest we don't, when they're coming towards us, we just get a little bit tighter on them and put in some tackles on them. And if we get open goals and things like that, we put them all, I mean, easy, right? All easy to say. Couple more observations there. A 3-1 defeat, right? There is a massive positive in that we're still we're 19 games into the season and we're 2 points off the playoffs. You know, we're 3 points off fourth place. We're not in a bad position at all. We are looking like a really good football team that occasionally does too many silly things. We have lost away against a team that was playing at a higher level, a much higher, 2 divisions apart, even though like they weren't really, were they? Just a year ago. So there's all sorts in there. I have an alarm bell that Cochrane went off. Cochrane's dead ball delivery the last few weeks has been really good. I thought he had a difficult September. I thought he's come roaring back really, and we are not awash with fullback options. And one of these videos, like in December, I will go into like the transfer window a little bit more. But for me, fullback position is getting critical. Bright Asai Samuel is just about to head off to the African Cup of Nations. Ethan Laird's not back till February. Lee Buchanan, we're going to see him again this side of Easter, if at all. Don't know. We can't afford an injury to Cochrane. We're playing Iwata at right back. Fullbacks have suddenly become, for me, top priority, as well as like moving 1 or 2 players on. And so, you know, we've got options that are coming up. My hope with January is we do our business right at the start of January, rather than doing the deadline day thing and like where we can affect more matches. But, you know, that's not how the game works sometimes. So, anyway, we lick our wounds, don't we? We lost 3-1, 2 points off the playoffs. Bizarrely, we're ahead of Southampton in the table at the moment, but they've won 5 of their last 6 games. They're a team on the up. QPR have won 3 of their last 6, including just beating the Albion. So Tuesday is the day, the day of my dad's funeral, as it happens, and we're playing QPR away. We'll wait and see which of these 2 things turn out to be the worst. I mean, it'll be my feeling, but you sort of know what I mean. I think it might be time to change the team around a little bit, not least that we've got a home game coming, a winnable home game. I wish I hadn't said that. At next weekend, I think it might be time. Let's maybe give Keshi Anderson a good run. Maybe, if we start Kyogo. No, let's start Kyogo against QPR. Let's try something there, and. Just this it just has to turn at some point. I'm a believer. It has to turn. I'm frustrated it wasn't today. It ain't the end of the season. It ain't the end of the world. It ain't Bristol City. It's a credible defeat. See you next time.